Today's episode, Josh and I are going to bring back the awesome and fun segment that we both love, News or Snooze, as well as everyone's favorite, of course, you guessed it, trivia. Next. Welcome back to today's episode of the Two Pointers Podcast. I'm Trevor.
And I'm Josh.
Today's episode, April 26th, we are going to run down Monday, April 26th. We're going to run through, like we mentioned at the top, News or Snooze. It's going to be an awesome, fun episode with a segment that we ever so missed. We decided to bring it back because we're at a point in the season where things are going to start kicking up towards the playoffs. Things are going to be newsworthy. Things might just be, we're trying to push to the playoffs to have some things to talk about. And of course, like I said at the top, we'll bring back trivia. I wanted to open it up with two things. First one being a today in the NBA stat that I saw today. I thought that was really neat. And then we wanted to unveil a really exciting announcement for the Two Pointers Podcast. Today in the NBA, April 26, 2012, with a 104-84 loss to the Knicks, the Charlotte Bobcats finished with a 759 record and set a new NBA single season record with the lowest winning percentage at 0.110. That was 100% entirely for Josh. And I'm going to swing it to Josh for the announcement.
I'm not announcing anything after you said that. Have fun doing this podcast by yourself. I'm done. Bye.
Today in the NBA. I love it. We should bring that every week. And Josh literally walked away. So I'm going to go through the announcement. Very excitingly, when this episode is live, early Tuesday, mid to late Tuesday, depending on how fast my internet is, we will be having a Facebook invitation or Facebook page come out, and it'll be titled just like the Twitter, just like the show. It'll be the Two Pointers Podcast on Facebook. We'll invite all of our friends. Of course, we're also going to invite you, the listeners, to like the page and keep updates and notifications on when the show comes out. Facebook's a really awesome tool. We've been doing a lot of looking into just how it works, and it's going to be really exciting for the next step of the show here. And we do appreciate as well, on top of this little announcement 1.5 here, we appreciate every one of you all over the world listening to us here in the United States, as well as our French. I hope I don't miss anything. Our French, our Thai, and our Australian viewers. We greatly appreciate you. We see you. And that's it. Facebook coming very soon. It'll be up with a new episode. Look out for it and like it. And we also would like a subscribe and a 5-star rating if you feel free to do so and you like the show. Anything you got to say, Josh, before we start News or Snooze?
Yes, great social networking platform, Bookface.
Bookface. I love it. Awesome.
You didn't get the reference, but that's okay.
I didn't, probably. You want to kick us off with News or Snooze?
Coming out to start News or Snooze with probably one of the weirdest stories that I've seen break on ESPN so far. So ESPN is going to be partnering with Marvel Comics, both of which owned by the Disney Corporation, to do an NBA Marvel's Arena of Heroes broadcast on May 3rd during the Golden State Warriors and New Orleans Pelicans basketball game. Apparently, from the release that I'm getting from Marvel.com, the latest development in Marvel and ESPN long history of sports content collaboration. To be honest, I can't think of one that happened before, but maybe I just wasn't paying attention. They're going to integrate elements of iconic characters like Iron Man, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Captain America, Black Widow, and Doctor Strange into an original story to take place throughout a basketball game between the Warriors and Pelicans. The story is going to be that the Avengers need a new great hero, essentially, and 6 star players, 3 from each team that have been pre-selected, are going to compete to be the Marvel Heroes champion that's going to help them defeat an alien army. It's essentially going to track them based on what fantasy NBA points are. The players are Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Andrew Wiggins on the Golden State side. And on the New Orleans side, there's going to be Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, and Lonzo Ball. Trevor, your thoughts?
That is my lovely round of applause for the NBA and the Marvel universe. That is awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on record. The fans can completely unfollow us for this. I'm not a Marvel fan. Josh is. However, if they did a Star Wars collaboration, I would be fully tuned in from start to finish. I would be taking and clearing my schedule for that night. I do think this was a really awesome idea. They did a really good job at marketing it. Before you even finished, I fully read the article earlier. It was really, really neat to see that. I did not realize that the 3 players were included in that. They have them like blurred out in like this little like blurb I saw on Twitter, and trying to keep it a secret on one of the people I thought maybe, but I see now that you read it, obviously, that they did a really good job marketing, and they've got 2 of the hottest stars right now. You know, obviously Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Green, and Wiggins aside, they've got Curry and Zion as the 2 going against each other. That's super awesome. I think it's just really, really neat. I guess to answer the news or snooze question, it is news. It's going to be a really, really, really big cash cow. I don't necessarily love the Monday night thing, but it's going to be awesome. And this is really neat. I'm probably going to be watching. Actually, it's actually next Monday when we're recording. So we'll figure something out. We'll probably at least maybe it'll be, just finishing when we record. Maybe we'll somehow maybe able to catch some of it, but it'll be really neat.
So this is definitely news if we're going to go with on the news or snooze segment that they're doing this. Interesting marketing concept. It's pretty cheesy to me. I'm not gonna lie. I don't really know who this is for necessarily. If it's supposed to get a younger demographic to watch more, but also at the same time, I feel like the Marvel fandom, like as much as like what's considered cool, like the like age demographic where Marvel is considered cool is skewing much older and not as much younger at this point. The ones who were considering it cool are the ones that were old enough to start watching the MCU back in 2008. And if they're going for a teenagers demographic, then that's not going to work. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Interesting enough, I do think what's weird. You mentioned the Star Wars one, and I think it's weird that they rolled all this out. They're doing a Marvel night on May 3rd, but the Disney Corporation that owns ESPN and Marvel also owns Lucasfilm. And May 4th is Star Wars Day. It just seems like that would have made a lot of sense at the time. But I mean, either way, it's cool. It's different. I hope it doesn't go over the way the NFL on Nickelodeon went over. If anyone knows how that went, but it wasn't good. We'll see what happens.
So first of all, you mentioned the scoring system, or like the fantasy basketball type scoring system. This is really neat. They're going to do these things called hero points, where obviously for every point, rebound, assist, steal, and block, someone will be awarded a Marvel hero point. And then the obviously way to take away would be a missed field goal, free throw, or turnover. Really, really neat. I think they could have done better with the ESPN commentators, Ryan Rucco and Richard Jefferson. Not a fan of either of them for keeping me interested and excited, but that is really neat regardless. One thing to back up your point about the Marvel average age, or the age that they're looking for, I don't think this is necessarily a demographic pool. I think it's more of just in general, it's a really, really, really cool concept that the NBA is going for. But the average age of the most recent, it was a stat pool from 2019 from statista.com that I was able to look up real fast here. And the average age, or 62% of their average listeners or average viewers or average fans, are 18 to 29. Right in that demographic where they're probably an NBA fan already. If they are, people like you and I, who I don't, like I said, I don't like Marvel. I'm a Star Wars fan, like I said, die hard, but also an NBA fan at the same time. So yeah, I agree with you. They definitely could have done a better job with May 4th being the next day. But yeah, I think this was probably planned for a long time. I don't know how long exactly they've been acquired, but definitely still really, really neat. And I do, in totality, think it's news, and I will be tuning in.
Yeah, Trevor, go take us to our next news or snooze topic.
All right. News or snooze number 2. I am going to roll through. Currently, I'm going to highlight it a little bit. I'm going to go through a few things, and then we'll see if it's news or snooze, just like the first segment. The Knicks are currently, as of recording this, now they are playing right now against the Suns, and they were up 6 at half, I want to say, or just above 6 at half. 7.5. So they are on a 9-game win streak. Overall, they're 34-27. As of right now, they're 4th in the East, which is, I mean, the most 2021 thing I think I've ever heard. The Knicks being 4th in the East with a team that doesn't have a star, like it did with Carmelo Anthony in the mid to early 2010s. But they're currently a couple of key stats I think are intriguing, and then we can discuss if it's snooze or snooze. They're currently last in pace. They are middle of the pack in offensive rating, and they're 4th in defensive rating with a 107.8. That is huge. Nerlens Noel averaging 3 blocks in 29 minutes throughout the 9-game win streak. And Julius Randle just playing himself into the at least slightly, possibly, maybe the MVP conversation. If they're going to finish 4th.
No.
East. No? Okay. See, I knew you were going to – we didn't even get to – I didn't even ask the question yet. I love it. Julius Randle's obviously playing tremendous. He's the reason that they're playing so well. Derrick Rose as well. And he's averaging 30 points throughout the streak. Josh, is the Knicks 9-game, possibly 10-game win streak? Are the Knicks snooze or snooze?
Well, the Knicks are always news, it seems like, regardless. But this year, their games are making me snooze. But that's terrible. Yeah. I mean, the Knicks are good. Didn't think I'd say that. Julius Randle's great. Don't take me saying no on the MVP thing as a diss to Julius Randle. He's awesome. I'm just tired of this MVP conversation. We're not going to turn this into a Jokic conversation. But it's not anyone but Nikola Jokic. Okay. Moving on, looking at the Knicks lineup, it's kind of interesting. They kind of seem to me they're almost the island of misfit toys. They are players who were cast off by their teams too soon without giving them time to develop. Big name players who are being contributors. Randle being the biggest name. Nerlens Noel. Elfrid Payton starting at point guard. Derrick Rose coming off the bench. The only player in their starting lineup they drafted is R.J. Barrett. Just last year. The Knicks have done a really good job scouting players within the league and bringing in talent that was undervalued throughout the NBA. And even though that was their secondary plan after chasing Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, I think they've done a great job in building this team.
First of all, shout out to Tom Thibodeau, because this misfit toy thing seems to be his forte. Yeah. He tried to do a little bit of that at Minnesota before he lost full and complete and utter control of the locker room. But by the way, he and the Knicks entirely as an organization, regardless of owner, you know who, I'm not even going to say his name on this podcast. The fact that they're doing all this, especially defensively, I highlighted defensively. They ended the Hawks game, by the way, on 9 straight stops to win that game. And the Hawks, Josh and I are very open about our wrongness of the Hawks. They're a great team, and they're going to they could possibly scare somebody, as well as why I think the Knicks are news as well. Before I get to my second point, the Knicks are the Knicks are news, not snooze. Sorry, excuse me. The Knicks are news entirely, and it's exciting as someone who, my entire life, the Knicks have been bad up until obviously Melo having his little stint there in the middle 2000s. No one took him seriously. No one thought they were going to come out of the East in that time period with the Heat. It wasn't going to happen. But they are good and they're exciting. And like I said, all on the back of Julius Randle. But imagine if they're 4th in defensive rating right now. 4th, by the way. That is up there with Bucks, Jazz, Lakers, Sixers. That is up there with some of these best contender teams. They're doing all this without starting center Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah.
Nerlens Noel is literally holding down the fort, and I couldn't be more impressed with this Knicks team. I've went out of my way and watched 3 Knicks games since last Sunday. That hasn't
Probably
happened.
all of them.
That hasn't happened since the Sunday before. But handful of games in a stretch of a little over a week. That's not something I haven't done since Melo was in New York. That's a big deal. And I think the average viewer is starting to care. LeBron said it himself on Twitter, and I am with that. The league's more fun when the Knicks are winning. LeBron said it himself. Period.
Maybe.
At the end of the day, I think so. It's ridiculous to think that we've gotten this long throughout our podcast this year and barely mentioned the Knicks. They're really good, and I'm happy to see it. And I think,
Yeah.
do I think they scare somebody? I think the best possible matchup for them, believe it or not, I think is Philly because of their defensive intensity and being able to defend Embiid. But they obviously would need Mitchell Robinson to, I think, to actually control that series. But they're going to be fun, and somebody's probably not going to look forward to playing them for sure.
Right now, it's going to be the very weird first round matchup of New York and Atlanta.
Ooh,
which is cool. Honestly.
I know who I would take.
Atlanta.
What? Yeah, Trey.
No, I think it would go to a game 7. I'm not really sure who would win.
100%. It would be like those Pacers Cavs series a few years ago.
No, I think it would go to a game 7 to be accurate. I'm not really sure who would win. Hey, I'm just happy to see new teams doing well in the East. I'd prefer if it was a small market team, personally. But so moving on to our next item of news or snooze, the G League Ignite team. So I know that a lot of people probably aren't going to know what I'm talking about when I bring up G League Ignite. And the truth is, I hadn't been paying all that much attention to them until recently, but they seem to really be doing a lot. So here's what the G League Ignite is: a team within the G League that plays an exhibitionary G League schedule outside of like the normal playing time period of the G League. It is made up of players who are hoping to enter the draft of the next year and can get paid up to $500,000 in contracts. This season alone, they had Jalen Green, Jonathan Kuminga, both of those who are expected to go top 5 in the NBA draft this year, as well as other draft prospects, Daishen Nix, Isaiah Todd, Principal Singh, and Kai Soto. Recently, it was announced the G League Ignite have signed Fanbo Jing from China, 4-star recruit who reclassified recently and is going to be heading to the G League for his before NBA season and entering the 2022 NBA draft, as well as 5-star forward Michael Foster, who decided to turn down some Power 5 basketball offers and head to G League Ignite. Trevor, what are your thoughts before I get into what I think about this?
We're not disagreeing in this. We're going to now be 3 for 3 on news segments. Did we say that Marvel was news? Yes. Yeah. So then we're 3 for 3. This is news, and in my opinion. And by the way, first of all, that team you just listed before you even mentioned the additions of this coming year of Foster and the 4-star from Gonzaga there, that team competes or wins a national title if they're in college at the same time. I know that obviously young teams, we've been through that. I get it. That team's loaded, and that team could beat a really bad NBA team maybe, or, win a national title. That team's disgusting. And they're making it known that they want to make a change and make a change for the best in the NBA with the transfer portal system changing in the NCAA. The Ignite are changing the basketball world in terms of how guys are going to come up and how guys are going to make it worth their while for supporting their family or developing themselves as a professional. And you don't have to go to college. And I think this is this is obviously the first big domino prior to, of course, the high school edition of the draft very, very soon in the next couple of years. But I think it's a really awesome, exciting thing. And you've seen guys that have been able to come out and be successful, of guys who go internationally, or in this case, the G League, right? Obviously, Lamelo did so, and he was a top 3 pick. We'll get to him soon. It's huge. I have nothing else to say about it. It's wild to me that this has taken this long to kick off. And the D League, as known before, the sponsorship change, used to be a laughing stock. It used to be a place where you sent guys down if they were injury rehabbing or not doing well. We never cared about the G League until a year and a half ago.
So yeah, this is obviously news. First, I want to pump the brakes on that whole how great the team was. They went 8-7 in their G League games against all G League teams. So we'll pump the brakes on how good you think they work as a team and realize the team chemistry matters. But the players are great, and that's part of the line here. What I'm about to go down the line of is entirely me speculating about what's going on, but I think it makes too much sense not to ignore. So the NBA has said that the plan is to eventually lift the rule that says players have to go to college for a year before entering the NBA, and the idea that they're going to allow players to go right out of high school into the NBA draft. With the success of G League Ignite and the possibility of expanding that, I don't see why they would. The process it would have to go through would have to be voted on by both the ownership and the players' union to establish as part of the collective bargaining agreement. The ownership has no incentive to let players come straight out of high school because if they do, they have to go back to sending scouts to high school gyms around the country. I know AAU makes it easier. They have to go back to really what was just a crapshoot of trying to evaluate high school players back when these guys were entering the NBA draft. You have no idea how good these guys were. Now you have a feeder system where you can send them so you can evaluate them. You can have your own coaches there. You can get all of the access you want to see how good these players are before they enter the draft. Players Association has no reason to let the players come in either because the players aren't going to be trying to extend easier access to players to come take their spot on these rosters and come in more readily. I'm seriously questioning whether the NBA will and whether the NBA should change the rule about going straight out of high school.
And I'm going to play devil's advocate for you. Answer this question honestly. What do the NBA and the NBA owners care about ultimately?
Money.
What will letting a 18-year-old LeBron James Jr. come straight into the NBA who's fully talented, using him as an example, there's obviously guys that will probably be better or worse than him. I get it in terms of evaluation of talent. Totally understandable. How quickly can you get him on a floor and market him is going to matter.
But here's the thing. If they sign him to G League Ignite, they can market him. They can broadcast him wherever they want.
We're big NBA fans. Have you watched the G League game?
No.
Have you watched? Okay.
But here's the thing, though. If LeBron James Jr. is playing, they put high school games of Zion on ESPN. I watched those. If you put LeBron James Jr., they put his high school games on ESPN. People watch them. It's not going to be different if they throw a G League game on ESPN. People will watch him. Doesn't matter where you put him. People will watch him.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. At the end of the day, it's how you're going to market him. And it's essentially the same conversation with a different argument. It's we're going to want these guys on the floor. We're going to want to market them. How can we market them? My caveat would be, can we market him assume it's a really bad team and, how many years does he have left? Oh my gosh, he's a junior now. So 2.5, 3 years, whatever. Would you rather him be in an Ignite jersey trying to market him, which, by the way, you can still do, like you said, ESPN, right? The NBA ultimately wants him on an NBA floor in an NBA jersey. That's where I think by the way, I'm all for, to be clear to the listeners and to you, I'm all for the high school thing. I really do want to see it happen. I think it's a huge change, and it used to work until obviously a lot of those things you mentioned earlier. I want to see if it's possible again. The NBA, Adam Silver especially, is all about trying new things, all about ways to market and make money. It's worth the shot to me because it's something you can quite literally, something you can recover from if it goes wrong.
So one, clarify, because it may not seem that way. I personally would like the rule to be for players to go straight out of high school. Mostly because I think it would be good for college basketball if players could go straight out of high school, with the option to return to school, to go to a school if they don't get drafted. But from a standpoint of like the G League Ignite, like you use the LeBron James Jr. example, and that's great. But how many of those do you have? Like, how much is that going to matter when we're talking of hundreds of players in a player pool? You got your LeBron James Jr. Just to think over the past few years, how many players that would have mattered that much? Lamelo Ball, Zion Williamson.
John Morant, maybe?
No. John Morant was a 3-star out of high school.
Yeah, true.
Wouldn't have been drafted.
Murray State, yeah.
The reason I'm stopping is because that's it. You would have to go back to Dwight Howard, then to LeBron James to get to somebody that would have, like, they would have wanted to move the needle that much marketing. And the thing is, in the G League Ignite, and I'm not just talking about Ignite, I'm talking about the NBA might try to create an entire system. They're creating leagues in other parts of the world to scout and evaluate talent. I don't see why it's so. It just seems very clear that it would make a lot of sense for them to do that here.
Yep. No, I look the other markets thing you mentioned about expanding it. They just announced an NBA Africa expansion like a week and a half ago. We haven't.
I think it started.
Or it started, or they brought it to light. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's going to be exciting and completely intriguing to find out what the NBA really wants to do, because no matter what, they're going to want the best product they possibly can that makes them the most money. And at the end of the day, they're going to make their money whether they put them in. And I think it's, like I said, different conversation, or same argument, different conversation, vice versa, whatever. You're going to make the money ultimately because of those guys. I think you're right. And I think it's a conversation we can bring back up at some point, that how you get those 3-star recruits marketed properly, how you get those 4 stars. Is the G League going to matter again? I think that's the question. Ultimately, I think this first wave of guys is showing us a sign that it's possible.
Matter again? When has it mattered before? The G League finally matters. Let's just get to that's
finally matters.
It's this developmental league they've been trying to build to make it somewhat akin, with a lot of differences, to Major League Baseball's minor league system, and it's starting to matter.
It's a structural thing, and I'm glad you brought the baseball point, because that was my last point. Minor league baseball matters, and people go to minor league games. People spend money. There's revenue there. The NFL doesn't have anything there, but they market so much and such a high level that it doesn't matter. The NBA, this is going to be a good stepping point in the future that will help them ultimately make more money. All right, and we're going to roll into our last news or snooze topic before we get into everyone's favorite segment, of course, trivia. I am going to do this for Josh's sake, but I do think it is important because of ultimately, we don't have to have the MVP conversation every week, and we don't plan on it until maybe the last week or so. But this matters in the sense that for playoff rankings and standings, LaMelo Ball, 7 days ago, literally last Monday when we recorded, so not even the week we're on now, because we haven't had anything major, but I do have one thing I want to bring up. The cast came off 7 days ago. And I'm going to reference this as, we both live here in North Carolina, so we're both following the Hornets ever so closely, as one of us being a fan, one of us being a fan of them as a team. It's exciting and fun to watch. Coach Borrego came out today and stated that both guys, and quote, Malik Monk rehabbing, of course, an ankle injury at the same time, for those who might not know. Big miss for both of them, right? Having both of those guys gone, as well as Hayward even, and they're playing super well. In their last 13, they're 6-7. Coach Borrego said they did not go live and have contact today. This is today, Monday, April 26th. They go in workouts, both of them. I think the next step is really getting them some live play for both of them. He said both of them quite a bit. I'm now realizing we're not there yet, but they're kind of in the same range right now. Different injuries, but obviously want them both on the floor mid to late week to be able to return very soon, end quote. That's a big step for a team that right now is fighting for a play-in spot / could actually still possibly get the 6th seed. It's totally possible. The East is literally going to come down to the final game. And I'm excited, as someone who thinks they should win the division, that the Hornets are going to hopefully scare somebody. Josh, are your Hornets, I'm giving you a chance to just be a fan and have a good time. Are your Hornets, is this news or snooze, having LaMelo and Malik Monk and possibly Gordon Hayward coming back very soon?
It's news. I was trying to incorporate my own bias there and see if I was being biased, but I don't think I am, because I remember Stephen A. Smith ranting last week about how important it was for LaMelo Ball to come back. So if someone like him, who would never talk about Charlotte otherwise, thinks that it's news, I think it probably isn't just me. Yeah, get my guys back on the court, man. They've been playing 500 basketball without them. Miles Bridges has, I don't know where he came from. He just came out of nowhere to suddenly start carrying the team with those guys out. But I mean, the Knicks are right now what I think the Hornets would have been if you don't lose Ball and Hayward. And nothing, I'm like, I'm just focusing on those two because those two with Rozier were the three best players on the team. Malik Monk was a very important off the bench scorer, and he will help a lot to come back because when we've lost, it's because we can't score. And he will help a lot to have him back out there and have a shot. But it comes down to Ball and Hayward. And hopefully, I mean, like, I hope potential's high if they can get back in. I mean, really, the concern is that, like, if we don't get them back soon enough, they're going to be 8 or 7 seed, and you're going to be playing a Brooklyn or Philadelphia in round one, and maybe we win a game.
Hey, baby, playoff revenue. That's all we can hope for here in Charlotte.
At least 2 games in Charlotte, yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, and look, if they were letting us back in full force, we'd go and probably cover it and come back. I think it'd be really fun. However, I'm going to say this as I do think it is news. I think it's the closest out of the 4 snoozes because if they don't get them back, and you said it yourself, you said it pretty closely there. If you don't get them back soon enough, it might be too late. We've still got 20-ish days left to the end of the season till the play-in tournament starts. It was a month from last Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
My question for you: if Lamelo Ball comes back, assuming we're going to use Saturday as a timeline, gets full contact, or let's just say next Monday, let's give it a week from today, and he goes back to playing pre-wrist injury basketball, is he the rookie of the year?
He's the rookie of the year right now.
Really? Okay. I like that. And look, I agree with you, by the way. It is exciting.
We gave him the award a couple months ago. I don't know what you're talking about.
You gave him the award.
No, you did too. We agreed on this.
I gave him the award prior to the injury, to be completely clear.
Yes.
I am scared for the fact that recency bias and voters are going to come down and look at a Halliburton, and they're going to look at an Edwards, and they're going to think, oh, a big scoring on bad team, and think, Lamelo's been out long enough. It's the only award race, like we said last week, it's the only award race we don't know. And he could come back, play 4 games, and probably still win it. It's exciting. It's crazy to think. And that team's fun. Still watching them. And, yeah, it's news, but it's barely news.
All right. Wait, is it time for trivia? Are we moving to trivia?
I think it is. I think apparently It's a hard question, according to you pre-recording.
You have the opportunity for 1 point today.
Oh, we're back to level playing field. Got it.
What's the score? I don't know what the score is.
Your job was to keep up with the score, so shame on you. You got homework and listen to the episodes because I have no idea.
I'll go listen to.
I know the
call
record.
I think it's 7-5.
Yeah.
EU. So you're getting an opportunity for 1 so that you don't get too far ahead.
The record right now is 3-1 for you, correct? And then, or is it 2-2? I think
2-2.
2-2, and I have a chance to go 3-1 right now. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. All right. So at least I got that part right. Oh gosh. I'm nervous.
Give me a second. I had pulled up on my laptop the answers to this question, and while I'm audio recording, it won't let me go back to those answers.
While you're pulling that up, I'm going to throw in this quick, very short infomercial. Shout out to all the listeners and the downloaders out there. This is my mid-trivia break to shout out and say 5-star download. Give us a rating, give us a review if you haven't already throughout this far in the episode. Shout out to the 32 of you that downloaded last week's episode. Leave us a review on Apple, and if you leave a question, we will talk about it next week. Go ahead with trivia, Josh.
Keep rambling.
Oh, I have to stall again. Okay. Actually, I did not have anything prepared because I was going to throw that stat I threw in at the beginning, which I do want to apologize to you about. They were obviously the Bobcats then, but it was so fitting because I look at that stat every single day, and I didn't on Saturday and Sunday. I forgot to. It's StatMuse. Shout out to StatMuse.com and StatMuse on Twitter for the awesome user-submitted stats every day. They're my way of looking at, keeping up with the NBA in terms of who went off and who didn't. But they do a today in the NBA stat, and I looked it up, and I thought, what a better thing on a Monday having a friend that's a Hornets fan and a co-host that's a Hornets fan. I thought that was awesome. I'm ready for trivia when you are.
Okay, I finally got it.
All good.
So we talked a lot about G League Ignite today. And so what I want to ask you is a question. In the history of the NBA draft, 7 players have been drafted from G League teams into the NBA. If you can name 3 of them, because that's how hard this question is, I will give you a point. Your hint is that 2 of them are still in the league.
Oh, great.
Of the 7.
Oh, lovely.
If you can name 3 of these players,
this is going to be.
You'll get 1 point.
Do I get 1 hint?
1 hint?
You get 1 hint of some kind. Current team. Rhymes with. I don't know. Use it in a sentence. I have no idea.
Let me check. I'll give you the teams of the 2 players still in the league, but then you would still have to figure out the other ones.
Gotcha. Because I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, unless this hint is like going to brain jog entirely, shame on you for making it this hard.
The 2 players that are still in the league play for, one plays for the Milwaukee Bucks and one plays for the Golden State Warriors.
Okay, I thought so about the Bucks. For some reason, the Bucks came to my mind. I don't.
And then there are 5 more. One of them you should know because you did know at one point.
Oh, no.
Because he played college basketball in the state of North Carolina.
Oh,
but
no.
ended up going to the G League before getting drafted. There's your hint.
Like I've given you Jalen Leck. Jalen LeCue. Jalen LeCue or Jalen Leck? Jalen LeCue.
No.
Oh. All right. Well,
7 guesses. So that's 1. You got 6 more.
Josh, I don't have 1 guess other than that. Can I be real with you and the listeners? This is going to be the first trivia where there's not a single answer. I don't know. This was the hardest question you could have possibly given me, and I'm going to remember this.
You don't even have to get half. You just have to get 3 out of 7.
I have 7 days to come up with a question that you're not going to get. Just FYI. I have 0 clue. You can go through them, and I will be shocked if I do any of them.
Also, the name of the player you pronounced is Jalen Lecky, but no, he was not drafted out of it.
I thought it was LeCue because it was L-E. I don't even know.
I want you to keep – you've got 6 guesses. Just go through your head. Who plays for the Bucks and Warriors?
I don't watch Warriors games. I don't know. Dude, I genuinely have no clue. I wish this was a visual podcast. I have genuinely 0 clue. I'm so stuffed. It's so
Throw some names out there. Let's get it going.
I feel like I'm wasting time. Okay.
You have to guess.
Oh, God. All right, so the Bucks, one of them played in college in North Carolina. Can I have the college? Is that too
okay?
obvious?
Wait. So the guy who played in college basketball in North Carolina is not in the league anymore.
Oh, dude. I promise you I have 0 guess, but I'll try for you. Can I have their college at least? Since I'm not getting the points, by the way.
They played at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill.
Oh gosh, he's no longer in the league. Is it Kendall Marshall?
No, it's 2 guesses down. Marshall was drafted, I believe.
He was,
but out of UNC, he didn't go to the G League first.
Yeah, dude.
5 more guesses.
Dante DiVincenzo.
No.
Pat Connaughton.
No.
Neither of them play for the Bucks, do they?
No, they both play for the Bucks.
That's what I thought.
You should know DiVincenzo was most outstanding player for Villanova before. What are you doing?
Those were the 2 guys that came to my mind that I had no clue. If I just name 2 more people, you'll finally tell me. Is that what this is? I'm trying to guess
more.
the Warriors.
When you get to the last one, I'm just going to give you a hint that just almost gives it away.
All right. Pascal for the Warriors. Eric Pascal.
No,
he played in college, but
he also went to Villanova. You obviously do not watch Villanova.
The Big East. They're not even in the Big East, are they? Yeah, they are.
They're in the Big East.
All right.
You're just exposing.
Dude, this is a bad trivia. I'm cutting every second of this out.
No,
I'm not. God. All right, the Warriors. Oh goodness. Shout out to Hunter. I don't watch any of the Warriors games.
I'm curious if Hunter knows this one, to be honest. He probably does.
Hunter, for those who might not know, is our only Warriors fan friend, unless Josh has one. Dude, I have no idea. I genuinely don't.
One more guess, and I'll give you a big hint for each player.
Oh God!
So that you can get at least 1.
Bobby Portis was not obviously drafted. I'm trying to think Bucks because I genuinely don't have a Warriors guy, so I don't know the Bucks. Whoever the backup center for the Bucks is, I have genuinely 0 clue. This is the most torturous thing ever, and I normally.
Are you saying that Bobby Portis is your guess?
Yeah, sure. Bobby Portis is my guess, even though he went to Purdue. I think I don't even know.
Yeah, it's not Bobby Portis.
Yeah, all right. Go ahead.
Okay.
Please try.
Your big hints. The player who plays actively for the Warriors. He's European, has kind of a weird name. No offense to this guy. The player that played at the University of North Carolina left the team under not great circumstances in 2013 and played for the Texas Legends for 1 year before being drafted by the Miami Heat in 2014. And the other player, the player that plays for the Milwaukee Bucks, plays on that team with his brother.
Oh, I honestly forgot where the other Antetokounmpo brothers played, but one of the is it Thanos?
Thanasis Antetokounmpo, you got one.
Thanos.
There you go.
Thanos Antetokounmpo. Shout out to them.
That was your 7 guesses. You got one right, so you don't get
wow.
a point.
Yeah, I don't deserve one, and neither do you for that hard question. Can I at least try to guess the Carolina one? Because you gave me a year. The year I think is what might have given it to me, and you don't make fun of me because obviously I had to unfortunately watch my Wolfpack lose to Carolina multiple times in that stretch of those 10 years there. But I don't remember when. No, James Michael McAdoo was drafted, wasn't he? That's the name that came to my mind.
It's not him.
It's not him. Was he on a team with him? Were they teammates? Him and James. I think they were. Whoever it was.
I want to say yes. Yeah, I want to say this player was there at the time.
Strickland. Strickland
was
comes
a pretty
to mind.
significant player at the time.
I'm trying to think of any guy from 2013 that I can remember. And Strickland's in that same era. I think he might have been up in a little bit later there. Oh gosh, Strickland, Marshall, none of them. No, I don't know, dude. This is hard, man. This is bad.
Okay,
this list is going to surprise me.
Players that I just didn't think you would get close on because I don't know. First G League player drafted in the NBA was Mike Taylor to the Portland Trailblazers out of the Idaho Stampede.
Nope.
Next was Latavius Williams in 2009, drafted to Miami Heat.
Nope.
Choo-Choo Madwabum was drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers in 2011. That's Choo-Choo Madwabum.
You're not serious.
I'm 100% serious. This is from NBA. This is gleague.nba.com.
All right. That's
2013,
funny.
Glenn Rice Jr. was picked.
Oh, come on. Dad played in the NBA, played for your Hornets. That could have been a hint. Come on. Shame on you.
2014, I gave you the 3 most recent guys I gave hints on because I thought that would help most. 2014 was Thanasis Antetokounmpo, which you got. 2014, the only year where 2 G League players were selected. The Miami Heat selected PJ Hairston from the Texas Legends.
When I thought of Strickland, that's who I thought of, and I couldn't get the name out. Oh, God.
That's the North Carolina player.
He was really annoying.
The current Golden State Warrior is Alan Smilagic. Comes off the bench for the Warriors.
I promise you, I am going to give you a 1940s who won the 3rd game of the NBA season. You are in trouble next week. I'm so mad. That was the hardest question we've ever had, and it was due. Honestly, we were due for that because we had some pretty good guesses.
I threw you several softballs, and it's kind of bad that you didn't get PJ Hairston. I'm going to be honest.
Oh, come on. It's bad I didn't get Antetokounmpo. Let's be real.
I get that you didn't get Smilagic, but
yeah.
That you didn't get Hairston was just kind of
heard of 2
after I told you he went to the University of North Carolina and left under bad circumstances.
All right. Well, that was unfortunately, horribly, I don't even want to be doing
Trevor
this podcast
lost.
anymore. 2-2. I deserve it. You deserve it too. You deserve a loss for this too.
For winning?
For giving me that awful question.
We were talking about the G League. This is perfectly suitable. All right, that's enough of that. Yeah, no.
All right. And for the listeners, we hate to end like this, but we do have to mention this. We definitely want to mention this as 2 people who now put their opinion and voice out there every single week and want to make sure that we're doing all the right we can for the world of basketball. Unfortunately lost a very young and promising star who, from everything I've read, everything I understood from looking into this unfortunate, tragic story, lost Terrence Clarke at 19 on Thursday. Look, this isn't to bring it up to make sure it's in the podcast for news reasons. This is solely because we feel terrible about this. This was something that the NBA world, if you were on Twitter, for any of you out there, you felt it. You felt the impact that he had, even at 19, as a guy that played 8 to 12 to 15 minutes a game at Kentucky, who wouldn't have left Kentucky if he wasn't going to be, at least something and have some potential. He's a really good player. All the playing stuff aside, super sad to see. He was obviously in Los Angeles working out to prepare for the draft. Condolences to his family. Condolences to the Kentucky Wildcat family and the Boston area, as he was a Boston native. Way too sad, way too soon, but just wanted to make sure I at least mentioned that.
Yeah, it's one of those. It really sucks. It's devastating. It's awful. Yeah, he's a guy with a ton of bright future. Was working out with his college teammate, and it was an accident. But I'm hoping for what I think the NBA should do. I think the NBA should go really work on honoring him at the draft. I think he should be, at the very least, a ceremonial pick in the draft. We're talking about a great guy who's going to get drafted. I think it would be a good thing for the NBA to do that.
It's something that they are familiar with, unfortunately, doing, because they did it for the Baylor big man. It's Austin? Is it
Isaiah Austin?
Isaiah Austin. Yeah. See, I knew I even had the name right. I really do think he could have been really good. He was really tall, really athletic. He was a really good player coming out of Baylor. But yeah, it's not something the NBA is unfamiliar with in terms of something they try to do. It's really nice of them. I do want to genuinely say thank you to Adrian Wojnarowski for not trying to get ahead of the story and not trying to go and make sure his tweet gets out before. And it was a genuine sad evening on NBA Twitter. And I'm glad to see how it was outpoured. And I'm happy that we were able to celebrate his life in that sense. So, unfortunately, a somber and sad end to this podcast, but we definitely wanted to mention it. It's been a fun episode. Regardless, News or Snooze is back. Thanks for torching me in trivia, Josh. I appreciate that. This has been the 2 Pointers podcast. Thank you for listening. I'm Trevor.
I'm Josh. And we will see you soon.
See ya.